Dad kicked me out at dinner. "You're not acting like a real man," he said. I laughed, and cut off my sister financially before walking out. A week later, she totally lost it. I stabbed my fork into my mashed potatoes, chewing my food as if I wasn't hearing the ridiculous conversation happening around me. My father had spent the last 10 minutes ranting about how men these days weren't like they used to be, how they were soft, weak, useless. At first, I ignored him. I'd learned over the years that it was easier to let him talk himself in circles. But then he looked directly at me, pointed his fork like it was some kind of gavel, and said, "And you? You're the worst one. You're not even acting like a real man." I let out a sharp laugh, pushing my plate away. "Oh yeah?" I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. "And what exactly makes a real man, Dad? Enlighten me." He didn't hesitate. "A real man doesn't let people walk all over him. A real man doesn't waste his time on pointless things. A real man takes charge." A slow grin spread across my face. "You're absolutely right." And then I turned to my sister. "Which is why I'm done paying for your rent, your utilities, your shopping sprees, everything." The room went silent. My sister, Rachel, blinked at me, like she couldn't quite process the words. "What?" she scoffed, laughing nervously. "You're joking." "Nope." I grabbed my napkin and wiped my hands, standing up. "You've been living off me for years, and I've let it happen because I thought I was helping. But you're not struggling, Rachel. You're just lazy." Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "That's not fair." "You said—" "I said I'd help you until you got on your feet. That was 3 years ago." I turned back to my father, who was still frozen with his fork in the air. "You wanted me to act like a real man? Fine. A real man doesn't get taken advantage of. I'm done." And with that, I grabbed my jacket and walked out the door. The moment I stepped outside, the cold air hit me, sharp and crisp. It felt freeing. Like I had just shrugged off a weight I didn't even realize I had been carrying. For the first time in years, I wasn't responsible for anyone but myself. No more bailing Rachel out. No more dealing with Dad's endless lectures. No more being the family's walking, breathing wallet. I made it halfway to my car before my phone buzzed in my pocket. I knew who it was before I even looked. Rachel. I ignored it. Then another buzz. And another. By the time I pulled out of the driveway, my phone was vibrating nonstop. Calls. Texts. A voicemail notification popped up from my mother, which I found funny considering she had been dead silent during the whole dinner. Typical. She never spoke up when Dad went off on me, never defended me when Rachel milked me for every dime I had. But the second there were consequences? Now she had something to say. I turned off my phone. Let them panic. I spent the rest of the night at my apartment, enjoying the silence. No family drama. No Rachel whining about her bad luck, while she scrolled through her Instagram feed, showing off her new designer bags. Just peace. It lasted exactly 12 hours. The next morning, I woke up to 30 missed calls. 10 from Rachel. 7 from Dad. A handful from my mother. And 1 from a number I didn't recognize. I played the voicemail from Rachel first, out of pure curiosity. "You can't just do this to me," she shrieked, her voice raw and frantic. "I have bills. Rent. Do you even care what happens to me?" Then, as if on cue, her tone shifted. "You know what? Fine. Be a selfish jerk. Just remember that when I end up homeless, it's on you." I laughed under my breath. Classic Rachel. No apology. No acknowledgement of everything I'd already done for her. Just instant guilt tripping. Next voicemail. "Dad. You think this is funny? Walking out on your family? Abandoning your own sister?" A scoff. "You'll come crawling back. You always do." That one got under my skin. I had never crawled back. I had never needed them the way they needed me. And they knew it. That's what pissed them off the most. I deleted the voicemails and tossed my phone onto the counter. Let them squirm. I wasn't going back. And I sure as hell wasn't paying another cent. By the afternoon, the real meltdown had started. Rachel wasn't just calling, she was blowing up my phone. Every hour on the hour. When I didn't answer, she switched to texts. Rachel, are you serious right now? Rachel, you're ruining my life. Rachel, pick up. We need to talk. Then, when I didn't respond. Rachel, oh, I get it. You're trying to prove a point. Hilarious. Fine. But you can't just cut me off like that. I need time to adjust. Adjust? I scoffed. She had 3 years to adjust. What exactly had she done with that time? Still, I held firm. I wasn't answering. Then the messages turned ugly. Rachel, you're seriously okay with your own sister being homeless? Rachel, Mom and Dad are right about you. You're pathetic. Rachel, you're just jealous because I have a real life while you're a lonely loser with no one. Ah, there it was. The nuclear option. The same tactic she'd been using since we were kids. Attack. Belittle. Make me feel small. Too bad it wasn't working anymore. Instead of responding, I went about my day. Ran errands. Got a coffee. Did not send Rachel a single dime. By evening, I figured she'd given up. I was wrong. At exactly 9:45 p.m., there was a loud, rapid banging at my door. Rachel. I sighed, setting down my drink. I had expected this, just not so soon. When I opened the door, she was standing there, arms crossed, eyes red like she'd either been crying or screaming, or both. You're a coward, she spat, pushing past me into my apartment without an invitation. You think ignoring me makes you a big man? Like you're some kind of hero? I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. I think it makes me sane. She whirled around. I'm serious. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to pay my rent? I shrugged. Get a job? Her mouth opened, then closed. Like the thought had never actually occurred to her. I have a job, she snapped, but her voice wavered. Oh, yeah? I raised an eyebrow. Doing what? She faltered. It's complicated. Right. That's what I thought. Her hands balled into fists. You're doing this to punish me. No, I said simply. I'm doing this because I finally realized something. She glared. What? I smiled. That I don't owe you anything. Rachel's face twisted with rage. And that's when the real screaming started. Rachel exploded. What the hell is wrong with you? She shrieked, throwing her arms up. You don't just cut off family. You don't just walk away. I stared at her unfazed. I just did. Her face twisted like she wanted to lunge at me. Instead, she turned to my coffee table and shoved it. Hard. The cup I'd left there toppled over, spilling onto the floor. She looked at me, daring me to react. I didn't. You're heartless, she hissed. You act all high and mighty, but you're just a selfish, bitter. I'm done, Rachel. My voice was calm, steady. You can throw a tantrum. You can scream, cry, break things. It doesn't change anything. Her breathing was ragged, her hands shaking. For the first time, real fear crept into her eyes. She knew. This time was different. This wasn't like the other times when I caved after she threw a fit. When she whined, guilt-tripped, or turned Mom and Dad against me. This time, I was actually done. And she had no backup plan. She let out a dry, humorless laugh, shaking her head. You think you're so much better than me, don't you? I sighed. Rachel, I don't think about you at all. That one hit hard. I could see it in the way she flinched, the way her face twisted. She opened her mouth, probably to unleash another tirade, but then my phone buzzed. I glanced at it. Dad. Rachel saw the name and smirked. There it is, she sneered. You think you're in control? You think you can just walk away? You can ignore me, fine, but you know Dad won't let this go. I exhaled through my nose. She wasn't wrong. Because if Rachel was desperate, my father was furious. I let the phone ring. But I already knew, this wasn't over yet. Rachel stormed out a few minutes later, slamming the door so hard that the walls shook. I let out a slow breath, running a hand through my hair. That could have gone worse. Then my phone buzzed again. Dad. I sighed. I could ignore it. Let it go to voicemail like I had all day. But I knew my father. He wouldn't stop. He'd keep calling, keep hammering away until he got the last word. Might as well get this over with. I swiped to answer. What? What? Dad's voice exploded through the speaker. That's how you answer me? After the stunt you pulled? I rubbed my temple. If you're calling to yell, make it quick. I have better things to do. That set him off. Better things to do? Like what? Being a disappointment? Abandoning your family? I stayed silent, letting him rant. I can't believe you, after everything we've done for you. He spat the words like I owed him something. Rachel told me what happened. She told me you left her destitute. What kind of man does that to his own sister? I chuckled. Oh, I don't know. Maybe the kind of man who's been paying her rent for 3 years while she shops and parties instead of getting a job? That's not the point. Seems like exactly the point. Dad let out a sharp breath. You don't get to make that decision. We're family. We take care of each other. There it was. The family guilt trip. But I wasn't falling for it this time. No, Dad, I said, voice calm. I took care of you. I took care of Rachel. And in return, you mocked me, insulted me, called me weak. Oh, don't start playing the victim. I'm not. I cut him off. I'm just finally acting like a real man, like you always wanted. Silence. For once, Dad had nothing to say. I pressed on. You wanted me to step up? Fine. I stepped up for myself. Not for you. Not for Rachel. For me. Dad's tone turned ice cold. So that's it? You're just done? You're walking away from your family? I smiled to myself. I'm walking away from being used. Another long pause. Then, voice low and seething, Dad said, You'll regret this. And he hung up. I stared at my phone, exhaling. I knew him well enough to know this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. For the first time in years, my phone was silent. No calls. No texts. Nothing. I should have felt relieved. After all, wasn't this what I wanted? No more drama, no more guilt trips, no more getting dragged into their mess. And yet I knew better. This wasn't surrender. This was the calm before the storm. Rachel wasn't the type to let go easily, and Dad? He thrived on control. If they weren't blowing up my phone, it only meant one thing: they were planning something. But I didn't care. I wasn't going back. Instead, I enjoyed my new reality. I went to work and actually spent my paycheck on myself for once. I bought groceries for me, paid my bills without worrying about someone else's, even went out with a few friends without feeling guilty for spending money. And the best part? I didn't feel responsible for anyone. It was the first time in years I wasn't carrying the weight of my family's bad choices. But then, exactly 1 week after that disastrous dinner, Rachel showed up again. This time, she wasn't alone. 1 week. That's how long it took before Rachel cracked. I had just gotten home from work, enjoying the quiet, when, bang, 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 someone was pounding on my door. Not knocking, pounding. I already knew who it was before I even looked. With a sigh, I opened the door. Rachel stood there, her face red, her eyes wild. She looked terrible. Messy hair, dark circles under her eyes, wearing what I was pretty sure were yesterday's clothes. But what really caught my attention? She wasn't alone. Mom was standing behind her. I almost laughed. Of course. When Rachel couldn't win on her own, she brought in backup. Let me guess, I said, leaning against the doorframe. You're here for a heartfelt apology? Rachel shoved past me into my apartment. Oh, please, she snapped. I don't have time for your little "I'm finally standing up for myself" act. I need money. I blinked. That's supposed to convince me? Mom stepped forward, voice softer. Sweetheart, she's in trouble. I turned to Rachel, arms crossed. You've been in trouble for years. What's so urgent now? Rachel glared at me. My landlord gave me an eviction notice. I have a week to pay rent or I'm out. I just shrugged. Sounds like a you problem. Her jaw clenched. You're really going to let your own sister be homeless? There it was. The guilt trip. I sighed. Rachel, I told you, I'm done. You knew this was coming. I warned you for years to get a job, to stop wasting money, to actually do something with your life. And you ignored me. So, yeah? I'm not fixing this for you. Rachel looked at Mom, like she expected her to step in and save her. And, of course, she did. Mom placed a hand on my arm. Sweetheart, I know you're upset, but… No. I cut her off. You don't know. If you did, you wouldn't be here trying to make this my problem. Rachel scoffed. You have the money. You could fix this right now. I laughed. Oh, I know. And that's exactly why I won't. She stared at me, like she couldn't believe I had actually meant it. You're unbelievable, she muttered. No, I said calmly. I just finally figured out that helping you isn't actually helping you. Rachel's face twisted in rage. You're so selfish, she spat. You're a miserable, bitter, pathetic little… That's enough. Mom's voice, sharp and firm, cut through the tension. Rachel stopped mid-sentence, blinking. For the first time in years, Mom looked at her, not me, with disappointment. Rachel, she said, rubbing her temples. This isn't his fault. You put yourself in this situation. Rachel's mouth opened and closed. Mom, you can't be… No, Mom interrupted. I can't force him to help you. And honestly, I think he's right. Rachel froze. I froze. Mom had never taken my side before. Rachel stared at her like she'd just been betrayed. You're serious? You're taking his side? Mom sighed. I'm saying maybe it's time for you to figure this out on your own. Rachel looked like she had been slapped. Then, without another word, she stormed out. Mom turned to me, looking tired. I wanted to see if you'd help. I get it now. I won't ask again. I nodded, feeling something shift. For the first time in my life, I saw it, the moment Mom finally realized I was right. And honestly, that was worth more than anything else. Rachel was gone. Finally. Mom left soon after, quieter than I had ever seen her. There was no lecture, no guilt trip, just exhaustion. I could tell she was shaken. Maybe she had finally seen what I had seen for years. Maybe she knew, deep down, that I had been right all along. But I wasn't stupid enough to think this was over. And sure enough, it wasn't. The next day, Dad called. I let it ring. Then he called again. And again. By the fourth time, I sighed and picked up. I barely had the phone to my ear before his voice boomed through the speaker. You heartless little brat. I actually had to pull the phone away from my ear. Good to hear from you too, Dad. Don't start with me, he snapped. I just got off the phone with your mother. Do you have any idea what you've done? Yeah, I said. I finally set some boundaries. Dad scoffed. You let your sister, your own sister, get thrown onto the street like a stray dog. What kind of man does that? I almost laughed. Oh, so now you care about being a real man? That's funny, because a real man doesn't let himself get walked all over. Don't talk to me like that, he growled. I raised you. No, I said, voice calm. You controlled me. You belittled me. You used me. That's not the same thing. Dad went quiet for a second, probably not expecting me to throw it back at him so easily. But then, like always, he doubled down. This isn't just about Rachel, he sneered. This is about family. And you're acting like some selfish, entitled little… Entitled? I cut in, laughing. That's rich coming from the man who expected his son to bankroll his entire family while getting insulted for it. You don't understand, Dad snapped. Family takes care of each other. Oh, you mean like how you take care of me? I shot back. Wait, no. That never happened. Because the only thing you've ever done is take. Dad was breathing heavily now. I could hear the anger crackling through the phone. Fine, he spat. If you want to act like this, then you're out. I frowned. Out of what? The family, he hissed. You don't want to help? Then you're nothing to us. Don't come to us for anything ever again. I let that sit for a moment. Then I said, Dad, I've never come to you for anything. Not once. Silence. That was the moment it hit him. I wasn't losing anything. He was. I guess that's that, I said, shrugging even though he couldn't see me. Take care, Dad. And then, for the first time in my life, I hung up on him. I sat there, staring at my phone. Blocked. For the first time in my life, I had cut them off, completely. No more calls. No more guilt trips. No more being their personal ATM while they laughed at me behind my back. And the strangest part? I felt nothing. No guilt. No second guessing. Just peace. The first few days were eerily quiet. No more calls from Rachel. No texts from Mom. Not even a single voicemail from Dad. It was almost surreal. But deep down, I knew my family too well. This wasn't over. And sure enough, it only took a week before the real desperation kicked in. The text started with Mom. Mom, I know things got heated, but you don't have to do this. Mom, we're still family. Mom, please just talk to me. I ignored them. Then came Rachel. Rachel, congratulations. You officially ruined my life. Rachel, are you happy? Rachel, at least be a man and face what you've done. I almost laughed at that one. Face what I've done. She meant facing the fact that I wasn't rescuing her this time. I didn't reply. Then Dad caved. It started as angry texts. Dad, ungrateful brat. You think you're better than us? Dad, you'll come crawling back. Dad, I give it a month before you realize you need your family. I just shook my head. Classic Dad. But then, the tone shifted. A few days later, I got another message from him. Dad, listen. We don't have to fight like this. Dad, I've been thinking. Maybe I was a little harsh. Dad, let's talk. Just you and me. Oh, so now he wanted to talk? I didn't respond. Because I knew what this was. This wasn't an apology. This wasn't him changing. This was him realizing he had lost control. And without me to bankroll them, things were falling apart. It only took another 3 days for Mom to finally break down and tell me the truth. Mom, your father took out a loan to help Rachel with her rent. Mom, he thought he'd be able to pay it back quickly, but… Mom, we're struggling. Badly. Mom, please, can we just talk? And there it was. The truth. They weren't reaching out because they missed me. They weren't reaching out because they had changed. They were reaching out because they were sinking. And for the first time ever, I didn't care. I stared at the message from Mom. Struggling. Badly. In the past, that would have been all it took. I would have called, let them guilt-trip me, and somehow, some way, I'd end up paying off Dad's bad decisions and Rachel's reckless spending. Not this time. I put my phone down and went about my day. That night, I got another message. Mom, please, just talk to us. We're still family. Then another. Mom, we'll figure this out together. You don't have to be cruel. Cruel. I shook my head. I wasn't cruel. I was just done. For years I gave everything I had, money, time, energy, and all I got in return was disrespect. They laughed at me, mocked me, treated me like a failure, until they needed me. And now? Now that I was finally putting myself first? Suddenly, I was the bad guy. I thought about replying. Maybe saying something final. Maybe explaining myself one last time. But then I realized, why bother? They didn't care about explanations. They didn't care about my struggles. They only cared that their safety net was gone. So I did the only thing left to do. I blocked them all. Dad. Mom. Rachel. Gone. For the first time in years, I wasn't waiting for the next crisis. I wasn't stressing about someone else's rent, or their bills, or their reckless spending. I was free. And as I sat back, enjoying the silence, I realized something. I didn't regret it. Not even a little.